Button Up podcast show focused on sales to profit growth. I'm Polly Ingram. Our podcast today is being sponsored by Button Up Photos. And the next time you are planning a corporate event, if you're looking for an exceptional method for creating a fun environment for your guests and want to do some photo booth rental, reach out to them. They are at www.buttonupphotos.com. Hey, friends. Today we're going to talk about why performing a cost analysis is important. And I know oftentimes people don't really think too much about that. And you kind of look at something, a lot of folks will look at something in the pricing and they'll go, oh, okay, I'll kind of evaluate it and they'll come up with determination whether they think they can afford it or not. But they don't really give in-depth analysis, and sometimes you don't really pay. The item doesn't pay for itself, or you don't make the decision that's best for your business because you don't really stop and evaluate it. One of my other businesses that I've been involved with, I've seen that happen many times where just hiring the service would have saved organizations so much in their own labor cost, but they don't recognize that because they don't stop and do a simple cost analysis to realize that they're executing so much more labor local than they would by hiring an outside firm to take care of those services for them. So one of the things that, one of the reasons you would do this is, like we just talked about, you're going to want to know, how do you determine the cost? When you can get an investment and paying for itself. The other thing you're going to look at is, can you afford the purchase? So you need to evaluate which option is most favorable for you. So one example that I'd like to use today in discussing this, if you have a task that is taking your local staff 30 minutes per week to perform, let's just use this for an example. And maybe you're paying that team member $15 per hour. Let's make an assumption here. And if you take and you calculate that by, and even before we go to that route, let's say that the service offering that this provider is offering you, they're offering it for $10,000 per year. And they come in, they take care of it. And they come in, they perform the service, and that's it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. But meanwhile, what you're doing currently today, you've got a team member that takes care of this, and the way they're going about it is they're spending 30 minutes per week performing this service because that's the time that they can get worked in. And you're paying them $15 per hour. If you take 30 minutes times 52 weeks, and then you divide that by 2 because, to get it down to where we're only spending an hour, calculating out to an hour here. So that's 780 hours per year. At $15 per hour, that's $11,700, if I did my math right there. So just quickly there, even without taking into burden or anything else, right there, you're going to save right at $2,000 by going with the service provider. But you haven't actually calculated your full cost that you're expensing on this service internally because you haven't calculated your burden rate for your employee. You've got overhead with them, with insurance, with vacations and sick pay and all the different things that you're paying for your employee. But you didn't calculate into that. Plus, there may be things that are more critical in your business that you're pulling them away from that you really want them to focus on. And now they're pulling away to do something. If this is something that you could actually designate out to a service provider, you could just take this off of their plate and get them to focus on what you need them focusing on. So we really didn't determine your true cost. We just did a rough high-level cost evaluation there and instantly saw that you would save by going with the service provider. And if you didn't do that cost analysis, even at a rough stance, you might just blanketly think, wow, $10,000 is a lot of money this service provider is presenting to me for this service when we're not really spending much time on it. We're taking care of this pretty easy. But you didn't really stop and look at how much time you've really got your team spending on it and how much it's really costing you if you didn't stop and get into it and really calculate it out. So if you're looking at, for example, another thing you might be looking at is if you're looking at buying a new piece of equipment or a new piece of machinery, you're going to want to perform a study on that as well to get your proper costing. So you might need to do a time study. In this scenario, if you don't have that information, you're definitely going to want to, because you need to know how much time does it take per unit to process those units in your manufacturing process or whatever process you've got to process that unit for sale. How much time does it take per unit using your existing process method? And then how many units are you able to produce per year with the existing process method, produce and sell per year? If you can produce more units per year, are you going to be able to sell those units? Are your sales being held back because you can't produce more? How much profit are you earning from those units that are produced per year? So you're going to want to evaluate, if we produce more units, can we sell more if we can produce more? And then if that's true, are we earning enough for those units? And if we switch to this different equipment, will we earn more by switching to this equipment? And then you're going to want to compare the same questions on the new equipment. How much time is it going to take per unit to process these units utilizing the new equipment? And then how many units are you going to be able to process per year? And can you sell all of them that you process? And then how much profit are you going to see from those units? And then compare those two. So will you produce enough more and see enough profit increase to offset the investment that you're about to make in this equipment? Again, this is one of those things that you need to make sure that you really look at. How long will it take to get your return back from this investment in profit growth? So once you've properly evaluated, you can then make an actual decision that's an educated decision rather than just what it feels like. Much like the first scenario we talked about, a lot of times people are making a decision based on, kind of what it feels like to them. It feels good to do it this way, or, I feel like we're not really spending too much money on this. When in reality, if you really do the study, you're spending a lot more. Well, same scenario here. Don't look at it and go, I think that piece of equipment we're using today is really pretty old, and I feel like we would do better if we had a new piece of equipment. You really need to do the evaluation, because you may find that new piece of equipment may not pay for itself for 20 or 30 years, and that may not be what you're really after. Then again, it may be that new piece of equipment may pay for itself within a few months, and you be profitable because it is absolutely what you need. So you need to really evaluate to make the best decision so that you're making an accurate, informed decision. And so anyway, I'm bringing a little bit of my engineering background from my history, old manufacturing history back in here. But I wanted to bring that out today because a lot of the times people, they don't think in those contexts there. And I just think it's really important when you're in business to look at all of the cost aspects and make sure that especially when you're a small business, you make sure you're making the best decisions for your business. I hope this blesses you in some way and helps you in your business today. And have a great day.
If you're enjoying these podcasts, it helps me if you'll go on to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. And remember, the greatest compliment is to share with a friend.
If this show is good, please leave an Apple podcast for my mama.